It is 1 o'clock, the fourth and final hour as we begin here on Three Man Front. It is Reaction Monday. Weekend in college football. Bama gets a big win against the Vanderbilt Commodores. James Franklin throws up on himself at the Rose Bowl. Just a nice, typical weekend of college football.
Yes, it was. When former head football coach has won championships in his day, Coach Bill Clark joins us courtesy of Donahue Chevrolet.
Coach Bill Clark on Three Man Front is brought to you by Donahue Chevrolet. Learn more at DonahueChevrolet.com. And now, Coach Bill Clark.
Coach Clark, how are you? Great. Would you, as a big favorite traveling across the country, you go and you throw up over yourself, as Pat just mentioned, with Penn State LA, would you cite all the travel in your post-game wrap-up of reasons why you lost?
No, absolutely not.
Have you ever used as an excuse, even back in your high school days of traveling on the old cheese wagon to a venue on a Friday night? Did you ever use that as an excuse to the parents?
No, Lord, I need to state creating a teams that would, but I mean, the next time, and especially how this is, and that's sure not a good one.
Didn't you?
That was the first time we played and we lost, and we just.
Alabama, meanwhile, took on a Vanderbilt team. A lot of build-up for this game. A lot of excitement. You could tell there on TV inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. Diego Pavia, all of the comments. What happened last season? But for the play on the field, especially in the half, how did you think that Vanderbilt was able to have success early?
Yeah, I think if you want to just go watch somebody who does the things offensively that takes the most advantage. Last week on my show, we talked about taking the quarterback that you have and doing the most with him. And so, all the different things, and they go where he run it. He always got just such, that's a guy, and they just so. Especially the end zone, really good. I was just really proud and last year too. And great question. Why do
overrated when teams supposedly make adjustments at halftime? I mean, have you had a situation or two in your career where literally you came in and literally changed something dramatically at halftime that ended up having a successful turn of events in the second half?
Oh, time after time.
Okay.
There was so many times because you're seeing. I mean, what's the other team doing? They're giving you things that they've saved, or maybe this is their point of emphasis week, or they're going to run it more, they're going to throw it. I mean, whatever it is, there's an adjustment. Now, I will say there was also times where you said what we're doing is correct. We've just got to play it better. Our technique's got to be better. We've got to fit the blocks better. We've got to just execute better. So of course, it's not always some miracle change, but there is the times where you make a change, maybe a subtle change, maybe a big change.
What did you see in particular with Alabama's running game? Jam Miller, 136 yards to lead all rushers. That's the first time, Coach, that an Alabama running back has had over 100 yards in a game in the last 15 games. That running game kind of non-existent in the first few games, but it obviously got better against a quality, more than quality opponent. What did you see, and how much can that help a football team down the road?
It's everything. And I think, one, getting running back is key. But I think the will to run the ball, the scheme to run the ball, all goes hand in hand together. And that's what I always say. You set one up with the other. You set your throw up with your run. You set your run up by your throw. But you've got to run the ball. I mean, it would be like saying we never were going to throw the ball. And I think we've gotten skewed on the fact that we all love the throw game so much. And you can get, it gets easy when you get those big plays, but they're all set up with a running game. And then there's times when you just need to run the ball. Obviously, the physicality, all those things that go with it, running the clock. There's just so many great things happen when you're able to run the ball. Balance is the key, but they're going to be that much better for it.
Coach, I know we've kind of joked about the whole situation with James Franklin making an excuse about going to the West Coast and losing to a UCLA team that had not been leading in a football game this entire season until they played Penn State on Saturday, which is just an amazing stat. But if you're sitting there and you're preparing for an opponent like a UCLA and you're coming off a huge loss to an Oregon the week before at home during a whiteout, is this a true example of a trap game, so to speak? How could you not be up and be such a huge favorite against a team like UCLA and go on the road and give up 42 points?
Yeah, it is the epitome of a trap game. You got a new play caller, you've got a new head coach, which invigorated that team in every way, and then you lose this monstrous game on national TV at the end of the game, at home. I mean, this is what happens because you're dealing with human beings. Now, that's the thing that I think people that's what you would say. It's just, you don't put it on travel, and I didn't get to hear it, so I might be speaking out of turn, but I know you heard it. But I think that's what happens, and that is your big worry every week after a big game, win or lose. Is that that's going to carry over, and you're going to feel it, and that's what happened to them, obviously.
Coach, speaking of worry, Steve Sarkisian, his quarterback situation, Arch Manning, 2 touchdowns in the swamp, but also 2 interceptions. When you look at that football team and sticking with him at quarterback, first of all, would that be your decision? And maybe that's tough to ask because you don't know the backup situation there at Texas, but what does that football team look like to you right now?
Yeah, I don't think they have an identity. I know that's kind of the buzzword for all the announcers to say they don't have an identity, but I don't think they do. I mean, they don't run it great. Their throw game is, I always thought, obviously there's no doubt, Coach Sark's a good play designer, but for whatever reason, they're not doing the things that fit. Once again, here's a guy who's big and can run. To me, just like I said about Vanderbilt, that's when you come back and you create running opportunities for your quarterback. And some of those things just get them in the flow of the game. And I'm not talking about him running at every snap, but I think you find ways to run this guy because he can run and he's big and strong. I think that would set up more of their throw game, but I don't think they have a great identity. And then, of course, this is the normal Florida we see where they get all this talent, all of a sudden they find a way to turn it around. Seems to happen every year, doesn't it? But I would do something to get him running the ball more just to get him going.
All right, Coach, it was a disappointing weekend for UAB football as they lose to Army at Protective Stadium. We talked about this on the Bill Clark Show last week, that this was a great opportunity for UAB to get a win against, let's just be honest, not one of the better years for Army football. And unfortunately, Army came in here and they were able to walk out of here with a win. Just your thoughts on a missed opportunity by UAB.
Yeah, I hate it for them. I thought the defense played solid for the most part. When offense is kind of your calling card, and and it didn't happen. And so I don't know. There's a lot to be said other than that. I know they're disappointed, and then you got to go on the road, and doesn't look like you see any just for sure wins ahead of them. So they need to turn it around this week.
He is Coach Bill Clark. He joins us every single Monday during the college football season, recap the games, talk college football. And the only way that it happens is our friends at Donahue Chevrolet. And, Coach, they got some exciting things going on here in the month of October. It's Truck Month. Everybody loves Truck Month, right?
Yeah, Truck Month. that's especially at Donahue Chevrolet, that's a big deal. I see we got the 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500, 2.9% APR for 72 months. And, of course, we talk about it all the time, the ridiculous deals, which, of course, makes me think of you guys. Selection on all kinds of vehicles, including commercial trucks.
He just won't let that go, will he?
He won't. But you know what? I'm not going to let BYU go.
Please don't.
I know.
That was a good
right?
win. That was huge. That was huge.
Don't
Coach.
give me good laughs.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Coach, we'll see you later this week for the Bill Clark Show. Always appreciate you spending some time with us on Mondays.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Coach.
See ya.
Once again, Coach Bill Clark brought to us by our friends at Donahue Chevrolet. You've got Truck Month. You've got a great selection of the 26 Silverado 1500s. Also, the ridiculous deals, as you just mentioned, with all kinds of commercial and normal, so to speak, vehicles as well. DonahueChevrolet.com. We will continue with your phone calls, reaction to what happened and what's coming next. Three-Man Front, your home for college football and more. Jocks.
It is 1:15. Welcome back to Reaction Monday. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we will hear from Hugh Freeze as the Auburn Tigers, coming off the bye week, get ready for the Georgia Bulldogs, a nighttime game there at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Well, we got professional football coming up tonight, and that means that Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. You make your picks in less than 60 seconds, turn your takes into cash all season long. There on Prize Picks, it's really simple to play. You're going to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get the picks right, you could certainly cash in. Tonight, we do have professional football going on. Battle of quarterbacks. One, Patrick Mahomes taking on Trevor Lawrence. You get the Chiefs. You get the Jacksonville Jags. Right now, according to player projections there at Prize Picks on the app, Patrick Mahomes at Jacksonville, 1.5 passing touchdowns. So if you've never played Prize Picks, you either say more, which would mean he would have to throw for 2 or more touchdowns, or less. That would mean if he comes up short, you're a winner there as well. 1.5 passing touchdowns projected right now for Patrick Mahomes versus the Jags. Conrad?
A little tricky because the Jags defense has been playing well, but I think the Chiefs found their magic against the Ravens last week, so I'll go more for Patrick Mahomes tonight.
Going more on Patrick Mahomes. Meanwhile, Jacksonville quarterback Trevor Lawrence, 0.5 passing touchdowns. All he needs is 1 tonight if you go more through the air.
I think we'll go more for T-Law as well.
We're going to go more on those. We hit those projections, we're a winner. It's that simple. We have Jocks listeners that have downloaded the Prize Picks app, and they used code WJOX to get the $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. Code WJOX. Get $50 in lineups after you play the first $5 lineup. You don't have to win to get that bonus in lineups. Prize Picks. It is good to be right.
All right, let's start the week with some Pat Ponders. I come up with some questions. You guys give me answers. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Get by and see them off of I-459, exit 32 in Trussville, or visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. Question number 1. Which of the following teams picked to win their conference in the preseason is the biggest bust so far? Is it SEC champion Texas at 3-2, the Big Ten champion Penn State at 3-2, or the ACC champion Clemson, who is 2-3?
Man, I will have to go with Clemson. As tempting as it is for Penn State after what they just did or didn't do. Texas, that's tempting. Clemson, and I know they look better this past weekend, but they have looked dreadful. Even in a win, they've looked not good. Yeah, I never expected that from this team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is, the good news if you're a Texas fan is you're only the 3rd most disappointing team this year. Because I think, again, you lost to Ohio State. No one's gonna knock you for that. In Florida, which before the season, I don't think anybody would have said that's crazy, but we all thought Florida was gonna be better, right? So I think it's between Penn State and Clemson for the most disappointing, and just because of how bad they've been, it still has to be Clemson. I know Penn State just lost to UCLA, and that might be the single most embarrassing loss in college football this year. But Clemson still they are a bad football team.
How bad is North Carolina?
Really bad. Really, really bad to make Clemson look that good on Saturday.
Oh, I know I'm a Big Ten homer, but I'm not going to pick Penn State. I'm actually going to pick Clemson as well because, yes, Penn State is tempting, especially after their loss at UCLA. But at the same time, did we really expect them to actually win the Big Ten? I didn't.
Fair point.
All right.
Yeah, they're at the end. You're right.
Speaking of the Big Ten, UCLA football had not led one single second of football this season until Saturday. Matter of fact, the Bruins had a 61% chance to finish the season 0-12. 61%. Yes. I read that correctly.
Oh, that's such a good stat.
They had a 61% chance to finish winless.
Defying odds.
So the question is, was their upset win versus Penn State more impressive than Northern Illinois' upset of number 2 Notre Dame last year?
Yes. Because at least Northern Illinois, and I realize the difference being FCS and FBS, but Northern Illinois, if I remember, they had a little bit of a pulse. This was a UCLA program that nobody would have noticed had they shut the rest of the season down. No, I think this is more of a, however you want to phrase it. This is more of an embarrassment than it was at Notre Dame.
Okay.
Because, and plus, we're kind of used to that with Notre Dame, right? We saw it with Marshall early in the season a few years ago.
See, I would still say it's Notre Dame, but that's just for me personally. Just looking at Notre Dame and Northern Illinois and realizing that Northern Illinois won. I mean, that, in my eyes, was
Notre Dame had not been beaten until Northern Illinois beat them.
that. Yeah, and that is correct last year as well. But I mean, that to me felt more, and it's because the disparity and the quality of competition you expect from both of those programs. But that to me was more like a Michigan Appalachian State level of upset, where you're just, holy cow, I cannot fathom that this happened. Whereas I was shocked by what UCLA was doing, but they're still a Power 4 program. They have a quarterback that I know we're not super optimistic about, but they paid him millions of dollars to be there. Like, they've got some dudes. And so I still think that Northern Illinois beating a Notre Dame team, especially a Notre Dame team that ultimately played for the national championship, that upset was still bigger in my eyes.
That was going to be my point, what Conrad just said. Obviously, in hindsight, the season is over, but this was a team that did play for the national championship. So I would go with Northern Illinois as well.
Okay.
I was pointing out that Northern Illinois, at least they had been competitive in games and they had wins prior to going into South Bend. But
yeah.
Question number 3. Last year, former Alabama quarterback Freddie Kitchens was the interim head coach at North Carolina when Mack Brown was told to leave. Question is, will Freddie be the interim Tar Heel coach for the second year in a row?
no, there's too much there with Bill.
It's going to be Jordan.
I still feel like Bill's going to finish the season.
Yeah.
Now, I do think that next season is certainly in doubt, but I personally would be pretty shocked if either he decided to walk away or the university went ahead and fired him in the middle of the season. Because, and again, I know this is not the business that you're in. They're still being talked about every week. Now, it might be because, oh my gosh, can you believe how bad they are? Can you believe how big of a disaster this is? But there's still a story in college football, so I guess they'll be happy with that for now.
Yeah, I think I'll finish out the season. I just hope they win something.
Because if you keep sucking, which they suck right now, without Bill Belichick there, nobody cares.
Right.
But because Bill Belichick's there, you're still going to be in the headlines, even though you probably don't want to be.
It was interesting because a story came out this morning that stated that the social media team at North Carolina, they were told by Belichick not to post anything about Drake May. He had a great night last night, winning at Buffalo, former North Carolina quarterback.
He just plays for the wrong team, Pat.
Anything that has to do with the Patriots, you are not to put on social media from the North Carolina social media accounts. So I guess they're just going to erase the fact that Drake May just pulled off an incredible win and had a great night in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'd have a problem with that.
You want to know something that's really funny? Right after that story broke this morning, guess what they posted on their social media account?
Did North Carolina post something?
They posted the highlights of the final drive last night from Drake May.
Good for them.
As the Patriots scored it.
Good for them. Maybe somebody in the administration finally said, enough's enough.
But that wasn't posted until 9 a.m.
He told you
today.
to do what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan was told to do what? No, we're not doing that. All right, next question. Rory McIlroy was severely heckled during the Ryder Cup, and he said that type of behavior should not be tolerated at a golf event. Is he right, or should the Europeans become more thick-skinned?
I'm trying to remember exactly what they were. Now, if it's, I guess, clean, fun heckling, not over the top, you're not yelling during someone's shot. But I think that there is a line that doesn't need to be crossed, even in events like that, where it's more of a team concept and they relax a little bit on what is the expectation of a patron or spectator at a golf event. But if what he is saying is correct and some of the things that were coming from the crowd there in New York, yeah, I think that's over the line. That's over the top. There's a line.
See, I guess I feel like I have a pretty universal opinion on hecklers, which is kind of what you were talking about, where I think as far as any sport goes, right, there's a line. And there's a line of, okay, these are fun jabs, you're taking your shots, maybe somebody talked crap and now you're giving it back to them. Okay, that's fine. But you don't get personal with things. You don't bring people's family into it. You don't call them, anything derogatory. that is the line that you cross. And once you cross that line, I have no sympathy for you. But just generally speaking, if you're a heckling an athlete at a sporting event, that's what you signed up for as a professional athlete. That's fair game. That's exactly. I don't have any problem with that.
But if you're talking about his wife and
the
his
line.
kids, and you're bringing up stuff, and you've done a
That
deep
is
dive
unacceptable.
into stuff that
Unacceptable.
yeah, it's no bueno.
See, I do agree that there is a line, but I feel like with golf, that line might be a little smaller, if that makes sense. Because I don't know, it's just when you go to some of these golf events, I feel like you don't really hear as much as that. And I feel like it's not, like it's different when
you're
at a
expected to
football
have
game.
more manners at a golf tournament.
But also the proximity of where you are
You're
to
so
the
close to
patrons. You're
them.
very, and everybody else is, for the most part, continuing with what's expected at most golf events. So it gets really quiet, and then you've got a guy that's taking a shot at your wife or your kids or something personal about your family.
But to answer your question, right, if they're not crossing a personal line, then you got to have thicker skin.
Yes.
If you're a pro athlete, you got to have thick skin.
Yeah, because they have basically, like when the Ryder Cup was in Europe, those Europeans.
Oh, I'm sure they were giving it to them.
I mean, now I'm not saying that they went over some of the lines.
But could our guys actually understand what they were saying? Kidding.
But based on the reports and some of the things you did hear from, obviously, Beth Page, it was pretty rough. Like, it definitely went over a line.
And it felt like that was the perfect storm, having it in Farmingdale, New York.
Have it in Long Island. Like, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah. All you see in the background, early morning tea times, 24-ounce draft beers being guzzled.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have the Ryder Cup at the Waste Management in Phoenix.
That'd be fun.
Nothing's going to happen there, right, guys? Yeah. All right.
I love that event.
That is today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Goodbye and see them right off of I-459 exit 32.
But that's not even so much heckling. That's just debauchery taking place during the event. And as a people watch for the players as they're walking down the fairway. And we'll continue 3-man front on Jocks.
We're just moments away from hearing Hugh Freeze at his weekly press conference down on the plains of Auburn, as they will be hosting the Georgia Bulldogs coming up on Saturday night. Speaking of a night game at Jordan-Hare Stadium, the SEC announced about an hour and a half ago that their game against the Missouri Tigers, they're in Auburn, that too will be a night game. It will either air on ESPN at 6 o'clock or the Southeastern Conference Network at 6:45. Meanwhile, the third Saturday in October, that too will be a night game at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It will air on ABC television. So a couple of items of note from a television perspective.
What's the line on Alabama and Missouri right now? Anybody know right offhand?
Was 4.
Okay.
I will try to get you an updated point spread. But it was 4 when it opened yesterday. It's down to 3. It's a field goal. With the point total of 53 for Alabama and Missouri.
Interesting.
So, all right, let's head down to Auburn. Let's hear what Hugh Freeze has to say. They're coming off a bye week, getting ready for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Guys, how we're doing, ladies? It's man, exciting to be in what I kind of refer to as season 2 after the first bye week. Obviously, wish we'd have gone into it in a little different circumstances, but man, I love the fact that there's so much still in front of us, and we can't wait to be back in Jordan-Hare. 17th straight sellout, which I think is a new record, and get to play a night game and a rivalry like this that dates back for years is super exciting to our staff and to our kids and our fans. And I know it'll be an incredible environment for us to go test ourselves against another top quality opponent. It'll be fun to be at home for sure. We haven't handled the road as well as you would hope, but hopefully a home environment changes some things the way we play. And before we move on to Georgia, just, you expect more of you work your whole life to get to a place like Auburn. Heck, there's 16 staffs that get an opportunity to coach in this league, and when you don't perform in a manner that gives your kids a chance to win a game like last couple weeks ago against a really good football team, it's sickening and it's disappointing. And just assure you that we've worked tirelessly in the open week to correct and give our kids the best chance to win. The accountability rests upon me and our staff, and obviously there's things that kids got to be accountable for too. But by and large, it was it's disappointing that we didn't give our kids a better chance to win that football game. But the great thing is it's behind us, and there's so much sitting in front of us. Starts with this week playing at home against Georgia, and really told our team yesterday how excited I am, and I know our staff is, and they'll be the same. So great test, and looking forward to it.
We are listening to Hugh Freeze, his press conference from Auburn. And Coach Freeze, apparently we lost some of that audio, but found it very, very interesting early in his comments before he started fielding questions and really taking a deep dive into the Tigers' opponent this weekend, which is the Georgia Bulldogs, that he went out of his way to take accountability. And paraphrasing what Coach Hugh Freeze said is you work hard to get in this position, and there's an expectation, and not putting his team, his players in the best opportunity and best position to be successful and to win football games, that's on him. And so, again, he has assured the Auburn fans that he and his staff have worked tirelessly, Pat, to try to get things corrected. And Auburn fans want to see the result on the field. They want to see it play out, but found it very interesting that Hugh Freeze went out of his way to accept blame early in this press conference.
Yes, and we will see. The proof will be in the pudding because, as we all know, 11 plays for 1 yard of offense in the fourth quarter.
If you lose by a field goal, it's going to be disappointing, and the heat's still going to be turned up. But if you lose by a field goal, you lose by a touchdown or more, and the offense plays the way that it has, then that's going to be a double whammy.
Yeah, there's no question
and
about
next Monday
that.
would be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, the 177 yards of offense against Texas A&M, that was the worst offensive performance in 8 years for an Auburn football team. And there's been some doozies of Auburn football teams. So for this football team to have the talent that it has, especially on the outside, and you only garnered 177 yards of offense, that's bad. So got to get that going. You got to get the running backs going because when they only had 8 carries for the entire game against Texas A&M, I got a feeling you're going to see a heavier dose of that this weekend.
If you're Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann, you have to know now you're going to see something different from Auburn.
Yeah,
and you're
gonna
wondering,
have to.
what are we going to see? We're not going to see the drop back game that we've seen. And for most of the Oklahoma and for what we saw, it seemed like all of Texas A&M.
Yeah, and the week before at Oklahoma, you had 7 offensive penalties. Against Texas A&M, you had 8. So those are the type things that you have to clean up. You got to get Xavier Chaplin not to be a disaster on the offensive line. You know, there are plenty of things that if you just cleaned up these small items that bit you at Oklahoma and Texas A&M, you would put your offense in a better opportunity. So,
all right, we'll try to reconnect with Hugh Freeze in his press conference in Auburn.
Hugh, do you think Jackson is too risk averse? Is that fair to say about him?
You know, we've talked about that because, you know, he's done an incredible job at taking care of the football. And truthfully, when we watch the film together, I'd love him to be a little freer, particularly with the playmakers that we have. And, you know, and there's times I think he probably would be if we could hold up just maybe another half a second or a second. And but, yeah, he's you want him to take care of the football. For sure, first and foremost, and him doing that as poorly as we played still kept us in a game and gave us a chance to win. So there's a lot of positives from that, but certainly don't want him to play out of any fear. And hopefully our meetings throughout last week and through the game planning for this week, maybe he'll be a little more freer to give our kids a chance.
All right, continuing to have issues with the audio. Hugh Freeze's press conference. We apologize for that. We will continue to monitor the press conference. Any sound bites, any audio that we can bring you, we will certainly get to it. 3-man front continuing here on this Reaction Monday on Jocks.
We appreciate everybody tuning us in on this Reaction Monday. If you missed Bill Clark, who was on the show about 45 minutes ago, you can always download the 3-Man Front podcast. Tomorrow, hope you'll join us live. We will be at Social Taco as we are each and every Tuesday from 10 until 2 o'clock. Some of our featured guests tomorrow, including Mike Griffith from DogNation.com. He'll be along to give us his preview of the Auburn-Georgia game. Also, Scott Hamilton, a good friend of the program, from the Charleston Post-Courier, he wrote a scathing column yesterday morning, basically calling for North Carolina to go ahead and move on from Bill Belichick and to just punt and say, we made a mistake, let's move on. So he will join the program. He's also an AP Top 25 voter. Get his thoughts on what the college football landscape looks like. And as always, Dimitri Ravanos will be along on the program as we'll talk SEC football with him from SEC Unfiltered.
We certainly will. We'll get to more of your texts. You take the time to text them in on this Reaction Monday or whenever. We always read them. Some we can read on the air. 205-834-9450. Back to the comments by James Franklin after falling to UCLA on the road about travel. Paul in North Carolina says, already thinking about Penn State and Franklin taking that long train ride to Columbus November 1st. Hope they don't catch scurvy.
Just eat you some oranges and you should be good.
Be good to go.
I know we say this a lot about a lot of things because he was just such a gem of a human being. But these are the kinds of times I would love for someone to ask Mike Leach in a press conference about making an excuse for travel. And you can just imagine, just you saying scurvy made him think of he'd make some pirate ship analogy or something, and it'd be brilliant.
Another text rolling in. I don't hear Hawaii complaining.
Well, I mean, I guess it's not too cold yet, but, you know, in November, if I had to fly to Southern California to play a football game, I probably wouldn't be too upset about that.
This one reads, 18 to 23-year-olds don't see midnight the same as we do.
No, they don't. Because most of them sleep till about 11 or 12 every day.
This one reads, I always tell my wife when Joe Test is on the call, oh boy, we have the human something on the call today. He's just too much. Thank you for the text.
Yeah, I don't think Alabama fans are too fond of Joe Test and his broadcasts.
The person used a word that was alluding to maybe an expression of excitement that you might get through a natural
it starts with an E.
Bodily process.
No, a different vowel.
Comes later.
Oh, yeah. I got you. I'm with you.
Bravo.
If there was one person who got it and it was you, then it was worth it.
That was great.
The Bama fans were expecting to hear about the glory from the Vandy game, but you guys give us the irritating POS who makes nothing but stupid points born out of hatred. I'm still ticked off.
Is he talking about Bama hater?
I think he was.
Bama hater actually complimented Alabama this morning.
Yeah, he did.
Not going to hear that very often. He said they have an elite passing game.
Anthony, an optimistic Auburn fan, says that Hugh Freeze has been taking accountability for 3 years. He's a liar. He never planned to be at Auburn for more than 3 years. He coaches like he's trying to get fired. I know that what I'm saying is not politically correct, but you can look at the past 3 years and give me a reason as to what I'm saying isn't true. Yeah, it looks like it. Some of your points. There were times last year, and I said it on the show, was he trying to lose the game?
Also, there is a Jason Caldwell is reporting that the Auburn-Baylor game that was scheduled to be at Jordan-Hare Stadium to start the season is being moved to Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Is it going to be the Chick-fil-A kickoff game or whatever?
apparently there might be some NIL opportunities involved with this in the Peach Bowl.
Okay, there it is.
But Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover is reporting that Auburn will now face Baylor in Atlanta, not a home game at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
How's Auburn going to deal with travel?
Got to go to the Eastern time zone.
That's right.
Think about poor Baylor.
Did you realize that until Kalen DeBoer beat Georgia, he had never won in the Eastern time zone?
I did.
At Alabama. So
It's going to be a lot of firsts this year, Pat.
He's
Mark
checking off all those boxes.
It's going to be a lot of firsts.
That's right. First Alabama team to lose their opener and then go on to win the national title.
That's what I like to hear, Landrum.
Dang.
Maybe Jackson Arnold has been too careful with the ball because last year he saw Freeze throw his quarterback under the bus about 1 million times.
Getting deep into the psychology of it now.
His audio did cut out because of technical difficulties on I'm guessing the Auburn end. It was not our end. And this one reads,
Yes, it was. Thank you, Landrum.
The good Lord didn't allow us to hear the entirety of Hugh because he's sick of hearing the lies too. Come on. We've heard Hugh talk about needing to run the ball more than 12 times. If things follow history, our running backs will have 12 total carries. That was actually pointed out by someone who covers the Auburn program in the past when you've heard, yep, need to run the ball more. But what did he say even the week before? Yeah, we probably should try to get the ball to our backs more, and then we didn't see it. The point of the person who wrote up something last week, and I know who it is. I don't want to put them in a bad light. But what they said is too many times more than not, you've heard this during his tenure, and then either it never happens or it happens way too late and after the fact.
There's a trend of him saying he will make certain adjustments, and then he doesn't make those adjustments, essentially. Yeah.
Is it colder in Antarctica or James Franklin's coaches complex?
It's probably pretty hot in the coaches complex. Seat's on fire.
Drake asking, does Florida have a new Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver? Dallas Wilson.
That dude's good. I wouldn't want to compare anybody to Jeremiah Smith after one game, but first impressions were very, very good.
I was looking at senior year stats.
Oh, are they just stupid?
Not really.
Really?
11 games, 600 and something yards receiving.
He's a game changer. There's no doubt about it.
On the heels of that report from Jason Caldwell, just made me think about this. So next year, away from Jordan-Hare Stadium, so Auburn will now play Baylor, at Ole Miss, at Mississippi State, at Tennessee, at Georgia, at Alabama.
Well, we talked about it. We said this year is no cakewalk, but you look at next year, and it's
those 6
even
games
tougher.
away from Jordan-Hare Stadium. Goodness gracious.
I tell you what, Danny asked, it's great. Not that I think it would happen. How ironic would it be if Penn State fired James Franklin but hired Clark Lee from Vanderbilt?
Well, and that would give James Franklin a perfect spot to go back to, wouldn't it? I'm so curious about what happens with Clark Lee because he's done a fantastic job, but he strikes me as the kind of guy that would be really loyal to Vanderbilt for giving him a chance, and he would want to stick it out there and see what he can do. Not saying that's right or wrong or a smart or bad decision, but I could see him wanting to stay in Nashville.
If for some reason Marcus Freeman got offered another job and he chose to bolt, I think Notre Dame, that's your first call.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Or one of your first calls.
He's going to be on a lot of people's lists, though. It'll be interesting to see what he does. Well, that was the idea with James Franklin, right? You can do this at Vanderbilt. You can do it anywhere. And, well,
Yeah,
we're talking about his buyout today. But
unless
still.
travel's involved.
That's right.
Or an actual big-name team that you're facing off against that is equal or better in talent.
I was about to say, if you're a top 10 team or you're a really bad team in Southern California, you have no chance if you're Penn State.
But you get Minnesota at home.
Oh, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Crisp fall morning in that stadium. There's a good chance you're going to win, you're going to cover, and everybody's going to have you as a top 5 college football coach.
It might even be a whiteout. How fun was that a couple weeks ago?
It was.
That was great if you're Dan Lanning.
Well, you can white out Penn State when it comes to national championship college football playoff contenders. No longer. Coming up tomorrow, we're live from Social Taco. Come and join us, Mike Griffith. We'll talk Georgia, Auburn. I'm sure that Mike will have glowing remarks about Alabama and one Kalen DeBoer being the next GOAT. God is great. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday afternoon.